Before I begin with the intro to this video, I just want to say that this is only part 1 of the second analysis video. Part 2 will come out at a later date. So yeah, this is all I've got so far. Before we begin, I do have to mention that if you have not watched the first analysis video on this ARG, or anything about the ARG in general, you will not understand anything being mentioned in this video, and there may be major spoilers for if you want to watch it for yourself. Viewer discretion is advised. To get a refresher on what happened last time, let me fill you in. ToasterNinja and Ningrao create a YouTube channel where the two of them explore dead or forgotten Roblox games. The early videos are casual and lighthearted in nature, but soon small inconsistencies begin appearing in the series. Abrupt endings of videos, strange structures and otherwise normal maps, with Ningrao repeatedly expressing fear for reasons he can't fully explain. Eventually, they come across a weird-looking temple with a statue of a winged angel surrounded by structures that are later referred to as monoliths. Nothing attacks them, but both players just feel extreme unease at being near the statue. Ningrao leaves the game soon after this. When ToasterNinja returns alone to the temple, he says some insults to the statue. These are followed by violent visual corruption and a system crash. This is the first clear consequence drawn from interfering with whatever is represented by the statue. From this moment forward, ToasterNinja discovers that if he finds monoliths in other games, destroying one optimizes performance, but causes the world himself to become more volatile. Familiar games corrupt, environments overwrite one another, and it becomes increasingly difficult to leave games. A username. Grazing Eyes begins to pop up in player lists during these events. The creator later confirms Grazing Eyes is a false angel connected to the statue. As the situation increases, it comes to such a point where that Ningrao himself gets caught in a game and is presumably taken. In the end, multiple monoliths are down, the angel entity seems more active now, and ToasterNinja was left as the main target. No resolution in place. Now, before we fully move on from this first part of the ARG, there's just a little more to analyze. There was a hidden video inside of the skit about the hole, that being hidden inside of the video subtitles. We'll watch this first. This video name, when put in a Caesar cipher and shifted 22 layers, comes out as my lair, likely suggesting that whatever being's perspective we're in, it's that thing's home. It starts off with us in the perspective of Grazing Eyes, in a monotone black, white and grey area, walking around. The halo statues and monoliths are present in this video, further solidifying the fact that this is Grazing Eyes' lair. Grazing Eyes' movement is much snappier, less human-like, showing us that this is very likely not a human and instead a digital being, as shown by the snap, turn, and robotic, linear movements. As Grazing Eyes moves around, encrypted messages appear on the screen in white text. When shuffled backwards by 4 layers, the first one says, "Finally done with that bastard," suggesting it is talking about Ningrao. As it turns and moves around more, the second message appears. When decrypted, it comes out as, "They destroyed 2," most likely referring to the fact that Ningrao and ToasterNinja destroyed 2 of the 6 monoliths. It looks to be moving around the place, surveying or studying the monoliths in a way. It then gives off a third encrypted message, which when decrypted, says, "Checking," most likely confirming that Grazing Eyes is figuring out if the damages ToasterNinja and Ningrao did to their monoliths. After another 30-ish seconds of it checking the place, it then walks into one of the monoliths and teleports it somewhere, almost as if it is using the monoliths as a gateway to go to places. When the screen comes back from darkness, we see that Grazing Eyes got taken to a game with Reddish and Sept Mario. It then says, "You," and then follows it up with, "I fucking hate you," talking about Reddish because as the screen is covered by the same phrase, in the middle of the screen in red text says Michael, which, if you remember, is Reddish's real name. Though there is something else in the description which, when shifted 22 letters, we get, "He can distract himself from me all he wants, but I'll always be hunting for him." Most likely talking about how Reddish is distracting himself from everything by having fun with Sept. In this next video, named Interdiction, we are in the perspective of Reddish and the house game that ToasterNinja went to in the video of the garden that shouldn't grow, and also the video where him and Ningrao explored the house when the angel statue was inside and the billboards were there. This time, however, ToasterNinja warned Reddish about the gap in the bridge to the door at the end of the stretching path, and he uses this knowledge to jump over the gap successfully and finally get to see what's in the door. This next part of the video, when he gets through the door, it has a full-on animation of him entering the place. Something I noticed is, in this video, Reddish looks different than his usual avatar. I'm not sure if this has any importance to the plot, but it's something to note. Anyways, he enters through the door, and it closes behind him to see that he has entered some kind of strange, surreal place with a giant angel statue up ahead with mostly black surfaces and arches, with stairs leading up to the statue. Upon walking further ahead, we see many monoliths and a lot of those halo statues again, all lined up like they're expecting something big to happen. The camera turns towards the giant statue, and we see in the distance one monolith with a path heading to it. And this is where the abominable screenshot takes place, as you can see by the Morse code in the ground here. The camera zooms into the monolith and the path, and we get shown Reddish deciding to walk over to the monolith. And he grabs a bomb, throws it at the monolith, and blows it up. Once he does, we get a front perspective of Reddish, and the camera pines behind him to show that Grazing Eyes is directly behind him. He turns behind him to leave and is ambushed by Grazing Eyes. In the description of this video, we get an encrypted message, which decrypts to Nuisance, most likely talking about Reddish. And at the end of this video, it has a direct link to the final video of this section of the ARG. In this next hidden video, named Inception, we see Grazing Eyes submerged in darkness. The camera slowly zooms in and then cuts to black. When it returns, we get to see a much more detailed version of Grazing Eyes' design. Maybe that statue form was just a disguise, and what we are seeing is this false angel's real form? After we see this, an encrypted message shows up. When this message is decrypted, we get, "I will end your spree today, right here, right now." But it isn't necessary to decrypt these messages, because after the text glitches out and decrypts itself, most likely showing its anger. This is most likely talking about them destroying the monoliths and causing problems for it. It then says, "Maybe I was careless, and you inflicted considerable damage to me." And is followed by, "It won't repeat itself. You're just another chess piece in my game." It finishes speaking with, "Let me show you that you'll never come out on top when it comes to it. Pray to whatever god you have, because the bad time I will give you is much worse than what hell they have waiting for you." It then turns to the screen as the contrast increases, showing a bright flashing eye on its face. And then it says that the rest of the recording was corrupted. And in the description of this video, all it says is, "I'm done playing," most likely meaning Grazing Eyes will not hold back now. And this marks the end of Act 1 of the ARG. Yes, Act 1. Everything we have done up to this point has all been in Act 1. The start of Act 2 is represented by a community post, which holds a poem which talks about a bittersweet feeling of love and loss, with tender connections between two people culminating in the painful realization that one of them will soon be gone, leaving only memories behind. This is most likely talking about Ningrao and ToasterNinja, since we know that those two were good friends, if not best friends. Act 2 is named Desolate, most likely projecting how ToasterNinja feels. First video of Act 2, named the epic battle between Ninja and Samurai, is just Sept Mario and ToasterNinja playing a sword fighting game, and Sept Mario absolutely soloing him. There is nothing hidden throughout the video itself, but at the start of the video, there is a hidden part of a YouTube link which takes us to the first hidden video in Act 2. In this first hidden video of Act 2, named I'm Sorry, we get the perspective of ToasterNinja lashing out at Sept Mario because partway through the previous video, during recording, she asks him how someone is doing, that person being ambiguous, but is guaranteed to be either Ningrao or Reddish due to his reaction to the question. He says to her that she ruins everything, and that she only wanted to feel better for herself and feel like a good person by checking in on the grieving and reminding him about who he lost. He then suddenly realizes what he said to her, apologizes for lashing out, and says that he won't be going online for a while. He tells her not to message him at any time during that period of him being offline. This next video of Act 2, named Scrapped Video, it shows ToasterNinja alone and trying to play Floodscape. Judging by the description, he is attempting to speedrun it. He makes it through the first level of the Flood Escape and then leaves to go do something and go AFK. During the period he is AFK, the subtitles show up showing a call message or conversation history with someone with the initial J, talking to someone labeled M, which we find out may represent their mom due to the way she acts towards J. The conversation starts with M telling Jay that she's worried sick about Michael because he isn't picking up any calls, and she worries that he may have been kidnapped or taken. Jay tells her mom that they shouldn't worry about him because he knows his way around the college. Jay is confirmed to be ToasterNinja when his mom tells him that if he sees Michael, his brother, in-game, that he's to tell him to call her back because she's worried sick of him not picking up any calls for anyone. His mom was about to tell him how Michael's been talking about his missing friends, but the phone abruptly cuts off and he comes back onto the game, showing that that wasn't just a past log of a conversation, but that was actually in real time while he was AFK. Just as he comes back, it's too late to try and do the second section because the water rose too much. Confirming my previous statement, he says he was AFK because his mom messaged him. He said it was about unimportant stuff. He comes back into the flood escape, making it through the first section, but while he's waiting to start the second section, Grazing Eyes joins the game. Instead of feeling mainly fear, however, he treats Grazing Eyes like an annoyance. He says that he's not dealing with it again and unplugs his PC. However, this video isn't completely done yet. In the subtitles, there is a hidden selection of messages which gives us insane information. The first one reads, "They're asking you not to let hell consume your heaven." Following up with, "Such sweet words." And then also says, "But tell me, John." This line verifies that ToasterNinja's real name is John, and then finishes off with, "What heaven?" And now we are at the point where I've had the first meeting with Grazing Eyes. If you haven't watched the full clip, you can now since you have the context needed. I will give a shortened version of that encounter because the actual clip is around 30 minutes long. It all starts off with someone in my YouTube channel comments from one of my previous videos saying that they are friends with Grazing Eyes. At first, I thought this was a joke until they told me that they really are. So, I checked Grazing Eyes' friends, and what do you know, they were right. They then tell me that Grazing Eyes is waiting for me in Grazing Eyes' place, the place me and my brother joined in one of my previous ToasterNinja videos as a small observation, and also plays into the introduction video. This time, however, is nighttime. Dark. If you couldn't tell by the chat, I was justifiably freaking out. Grazing Eyes asked who I was, and I responded by saying I was just a guy trying to help a poor kid. After enough of talking and trying to convince Grazing Eyes that what he's doing is morally incorrect and that's a bad person, I decided to walk closer to the giant angel statue. After enough of talking, it makes it seem like ToasterNinja is a bad person, which I have no viewpoint on because I am mostly morally ambiguous. I do admit I was trying to defend ToasterNinja. I tell my brother in the game to get back and he vanishes like he was kicked from the game. I said my excuse of coming into place is an excuse and the place gets extremely dark and foggy suddenly. I tell it to show itself, and it replies by saying that, what if it doesn't want to, and what if it wants to toy with me like the others? I say to it that it can try, but I won't let it toy with me like it did the others. I say that I know what it is, and I know its intentions, and it said that it sees, and says that no matter what anyone does, the cycle will repeat. I say that I know what it did to Ningrao, and that hiding me from its other game, Shrine, won't do anything. This is where the questioning begins. I ask it what its goal is, and it replies by saying, revenge. This is most likely suggesting it's getting revenge for the monoliths they have recklessly destroyed. I tell it that revenge takes people to dark paths, but I don't even know if I can consider it a person. It says to me about how nothing is stopping it from killing me there and then like it did to the others, and I say that I have no intention to help the others, because I am not helping anyone. I am just a surveyor, someone who watches over the place and analyzes. It warned me that I shouldn't get in its way, or else. As a threat. I tell it if I won't back down from my goal, and no false angel will stop me because all it is just some code. It says that I'm pissing it off, which I am confused and shocked by because how the hell did that bypass Roblox filter? But I don't back down on the insults by acting sarcastic and basically saying I'm not surprised I pissed it off since I have such short temper for someone who just murdered another person's sibling. It calls me an inferior and tells me not to play with it. This is the point where the only thing I do is ask questions. First of all, I ask what really happened to Reddish after the introduction video, and it says that he's just dead. I also ask what turns the victims into statues, at which it responds by saying it does it itself. I also ask about what happens to the bodies of its victims, and it says that the bodies basically vanish when they get turned into a statue. It additionally adds on that the souls of its victims get trapped in statues with no way of escape. The next question I ask is why the monoliths are so important to Grazing Eyes, and it replies by saying it can't tell me that. I asked what place they're in is, and it says that we're in its creation. I also ask why the shrine place got changed, and it says because it looked kind of bland for its liking. I additionally ask why I'm not allowed in the shrine, and it made my own character say because I would get in its way if I were allowed in the place. I then asked it what that garden place is, and it said it wouldn't talk about the place, almost as if a suggestion to not talk about it. I ask it if it's true that the hidden My Lair video is actually its lair, then it confirms it is. I asked it why it was here before I joined, and also asked if it was expecting someone to show up, but it replied by saying it was just admiring its creation. I then added on about the person who commented on my video saying it was waiting for me here, and it said that person is relevant. I asked why I shouldn't talk about the garden place, and it voiced the question, instead asking me if I believe people are kind, and that if the world is fair, and it basically asked rhetorical questions, because it then confirmed it isn't. Not for me, it, or anyone in that matter. It also asked me if I've seen something I love be taken away, and I can't do anything about it. I respond by saying that I have felt those similar feelings of helplessness before. It also wonders if I hide my truths that hurt me. It says that no matter how strong someone may look or be, everyone has that breaking point where it all goes crashing down. And when they reach that point of their life, Grazing Eyes waits for them. I ask if it's a being that feasts on people's emotional stability, like how it's making ToasterNinja completely break, but it only responds by saying it's savoring its inevitable victory. I ask it how it can be so sure it will be victorious, and it says it's already going according to plan and that I am powerless to stop what comes next. It tells me that I stare up the screen following stories and pretending it doesn't affect me, when really, it does. Everything does. It then states that I'm still watching at that point, and I am. It then says my choices don't matter in the end because the world won't bend for me. I then reply by saying in that case, its actions don't matter either, and I say that the world is unfair. Then it says it has to leave, but it won't mind adding me to its collection. I say no thanks and attempt to move away, but my character can't move. It then says it's inevitable. I say that fate isn't able to be stopped and its downfall will arrive too. No matter how long that takes, its downfall will eventually come. Everything dies someday. It says that the last thing I will see is it. It walks into me and I get kicked from the game. On the 11th of January, a community post came out which is a perspective of ToasterNinja, from what it seems like. It reads about how ToasterNinja fears that Reddish has gone missing without a trace, and I think we all know where he went. After a previous post, on the 13th of January, another community post came out which is an image with only red and black colors, with text saying, "You're not supposed to be here, Seth." Wait, Seth? Who's Seth? It can't be ToasterNinja, since his name is John, and it can't be Reddish because his name is Michael. I guess we'll see soon.